Take a look at this handful of dull, rough stones. They might not look like much now, but they're holding a secret, one that takes 4 weeks of constant motion to unlock. When it's done right, they transform into something that gleams like glass, bursting with color and pattern. But here's the thing. A lot of people who try rock tumbling end up disappointed. Their stones come out pitted, hazy, or sometimes even duller than when they started. And most of the time, it's just a few small, avoidable mistakes. In this video, I'm going to help you sidestep every one of those pitfalls. We'll follow a proven 5-step method that consistently delivers a perfect, glossy shine. This isn't just a tutorial. It's your roadmap for turning stone into treasure. Welcome. Over the next 4 weeks, I'm going to personally walk you through my complete 5-step method, starting with these raw stones and ending up with a final product that has a perfect, liquid-like shine. This is the exact process I've fine-tuned over years and years of tumbling, and I promise that if you follow these steps, you'll get an amazing polish on your own rocks. To prove it, we'll be working with this incredible batch of rocks sent to me by my good friends of the channel, Mark Gibson's Southwest Pottery. Mark sent over a stunning, beautiful collection of petrified wood, agate, and some jasper, all from the rich landscapes of New Mexico. A huge thank you to Mark for making this video possible. I just can't wait. These rocks are perfect for our project. Agate, jasper, and silicafied petrified wood are all types of microcrystalline quartz, meaning they all have a hardness of around 6.5 to 7 on the Mohs scale. This is a really important detail because tumbling rocks of similar hardness together is one of the biggest secrets to getting a great uniform polish. Our journey is broken down into 5 stages, each taking about a week. First up is the aggressive quartz grind. This is where we shape the rocks. Second is the medium grind, which smooths everything out. Third is the fine or pre-polish stage, which sets the foundation for that amazing shine. And fourth is the all-important final polish. This is where the real magic happens. And fifth is an optional but highly recommended step that most people skip: burnishing. It's what delivers that ultimate pro-level luster. By the end of this, you won't just know what to do. You'll understand why you're doing it. So let's get started. Before we can even start our 4-week journey, we need to get our tools together. Having the right gear is essential if you want a high-quality polish. Let's break down exactly what you'll need. First, the heart of the whole operation, the rock tumbler. There are 2 main types, rotary and vibratory. And for this guide, we're going to be using a rotary tumbler. A rotary tumbler has a barrel that turns on its side and makes those rocks inside tumble over one another. This tumbling action is aggressive, and it's what actually rounds and shapes the rough stones, which is exactly what we're looking for. Vibratory tumblers are much gentler, and they're best for polishing rocks that have already been shaped. So, to go from raw to polished, a rotary tumbler is the tool for the job. Next, you'll need a grit kit. This is the ammunition for our tumbler. Rock tumbling is really just a process of replacing big scratches with smaller and smaller ones, until all the scratches are so tiny that the surface reflects light and just looks absolutely polished. A standard kit comes with about 4 stages of grit. The first 3 are usually silicone carbide, an extremely hard, sharp abrasive that's perfect for grinding down tough rocks like our agate and jasper. You'll have a coarse 60 to 90 grit for shaping, a medium 180 to 220 grit for initial smoothing, and a fine 400 or 600 grit for that pre-polish. The 4th and final stage is the polish itself, which is usually an aluminum oxide powder. This stuff is less about cutting and more about burnishing, which is what brings out that deep, glossy shine. Don't skip on your grit and polish. Quality really does matter. One of the most overlooked but absolutely essential items is filler media. This usually comes in the form of small ceramic cylinders or even plastic pellets. Their job is incredibly important, so don't skip on this either. First, they cushion the rocks, which stops them from slamming into each other and causing chips or bruises, especially in the later stages. Second, they help carry the grit to every surface of every rock, ensuring an even grind. And third, they help you keep the right volume in the barrel. As your barrel grinds down, you lose some volume. Filler media makes up for the loss and keeps the tumbling action effective. Just remember to treat your filler media like all your rocks and clean between the stages. Once it's been in the coarse stage, it has to go through all the other stages with the rocks to prevent contamination. And, of course, you're going to need your rocks. As we talked about earlier, starting with rocks of similar hardness is key. For beginners, I can't recommend agate, jasper, and petrified wood enough. They're tough, and they aren't too expensive, and they take a fantastic polish, which makes them really rewarding to work with. Try to avoid soft, crumbly rocks like ones with deep cracks, as they'll likely break apart in the tumbler, and you don't want that. Finally, a few household items will make your life a lot easier. You'll want a dedicated bucket and a strainer for rinsing this slurry. And you should never, ever pour this stuff down your drain. Oh man, it's full of rock sediment, and the grit will just harden like concrete in your pipes. You don't want that. Ugh. And an old toothbrush is also a lifesaver for cleaning your rocks and barrels between stages. And while it's not important, keeping a logbook to track your batches, times, and results is a great habit to get in, especially as you start experimenting with different stones. This is where the real transformation begins. The goal of stage 1, the coarse grind, isn't about shine at all. This stage is all about brute force. We're using the weight of the rocks and the sharp 60 to 90 silicone carbide grit to grind the stones against each other. This is what removes all the sharp edges and imperfections and establishes the final rounded shape for our gems. You could say this is the most important stage. The smoothness you get here determines the quality of your final polish. Rushing this stage is a surefire way to get a disappointing result. So, let's go through it step by step. First, let's get the barrel loaded. The golden rule of rock tumbling is to fill the barrel about 2/3 to 3/4 full. This is a sweet spot that lets the rocks cascade perfectly inside. If it's too empty, the rocks just slide around. Too full, and they have no room to tumble. We'll start with our clean, dry, petrified wood, agates, and jaspers. If your rocks don't quite fill it to that 2/3 mark, just add some of your ceramic filler media until you get there. Next, add the coarse grit. A good rule of thumb is about 2 tablespoons of 60 to 90 silicone carbide grit for every pound of rock in that barrel. A little extra is better than not enough at this stage. Just sprinkle it right over the rocks. Now we add water, and this step is where a lot of beginners go wrong. You want to add just enough water so that the level is slightly below the top of your rocks. You should still be able to see the tops of that highest layer. Too much water cushions the rocks and kills the grinding action. Too little, and the grit won't mix properly, creating a thick, useless paste. With everything in the barrel, it's time to seal it. But before you put the lid on, wipe the rim off the barrel and the inside of the lid to make sure they're clean and dry. A tiny piece of grit on the seal can cause a leak, and man, that's going to be a huge mess you don't want to clean up, let me tell you. Once it's sealed, give it a little shake and pop it on the tumbler base. Now, for the easiest part. Just be patient. We're going to let this tumbler run uninterrupted for 7 full days. You might see some guys that recommend opening the barrel after 24 hours to vent any gas buildup, but with hard rocks like these, it's generally not an issue. For our purpose, we're letting it run for a full week. After 7 days, it's time for the first reveal. Take the barrel and open it somewhere away from your sinks. Or make sure you have a big bucket if you live in an apartment like me. Inside, you won't see any shiny rocks just yet. You'll find a thick, gray cement-like slurry. This is totally normal. It's just water, broken down grit, and ground up rock. Carefully pour the contents through your dedicated strainer into your bucket. And again, do not pour this down the drain. Ugh. Now comes the most critical part for success: cleaning. You have to clean everything meticulously. Rinse the rocks under water and use an old toothbrush to scrub any slurry out of the little nooks and crannies. An unclean rock can carry coarse grit into the next stage, which will leave deep scratches and ruin your polish. This is the number one mistake I see in so many beginners. The barrel and the lid need to also be washed just as carefully. Scrub them until they're spotless. Once everything is perfectly clean, you're ready to move on. Take a look at your rocks. They should be nicely rounded and shaped. If any still have any major rough spots, you can always toss them back in for another week of coarse grinding with a fresh charge of grit. Welcome to week 2. Our rocks are now beautifully shaped, but if you look closely, their surfaces are covered in tiny scratches from that rough first stage. The goal this week is to erase those coarse scratches and replace them with much finer ones. We're aiming for a smooth, uniform satin surface that will act as the bridge between the heavy shaping of week 1 and the polishing stages to come. But before we start, we've got to do a really important check. Go through your rocks one by one and look for any that might have chipped or developed any new cracks. Any rock with sharp or freshly broken edge can act like a rogue tool in the barrel, scratching up all the other stones, and we don't want that. Just set aside any damaged ones. You can always put them back into a future coarse grind batch. Alright, once you have your selection of good, intact rocks, it's time to load up a perfectly clean barrel. And just like before, fill it with about 2/3 full with your rocks and ceramic media. Now, of course, the rocks will be a little bit smaller now, so you might probably have to add a little bit more filler to get it just right. That's totally normal though, and it's one of the main reasons we use this. Now, add the medium grit, the 180 to 200 silicone carbide. The measurement is about the same, about 2 tablespoons of grit per pound of content. Sprinkle it evenly across the top. Doesn't have to be perfect, this is going to be tumbled around. Next, add your water. The rule hasn't changed. Add water until it just touches the bottom of the top layer of rocks. Being precise here is still important for getting the right slurry and grinding action. With everything loaded, seal the barrel, making sure the rim and lid are sparkling clean before you tighten it. Place it back on the tumbler and let her run. This stage, once again, takes a full 7 days. The medium grit needs the full whole week to break down and smooth the entire surface of every stone. Don't get impatient, that's tough. Rock tumbling is a long game and patience is your most valuable friend. After the 7 days are up, it's time for the reveal and cleanup. The process is the same, but you'll notice this time the slurry is a little bit finer. Pour everything through your strainer into your waste bucket. Now, we have to be even more serious about cleaning. Contamination is a bigger threat now. A single particle of coarse grit carried into this stage is bad enough, but a single particle of this medium grit carried into a polished stage would be a disaster. Wash the rocks, the media, the barrel, and the lid like you mean it. Use your toothbrush and get into every nook and cranny. Some folks, myself included, even do a quick wash cycle at this point. To do this, after the first rinse, put the rocks back in the clean barrel. Cover them with water, add a tablespoon of borax or a non-foaming powdered soap, and tumble for about an hour. It's an extra step that helps knock loose any stubborn slurry hiding in the small cracks. After this crazy, thorough cleaning, take a moment to inspect your work. The rocks should feel incredibly smooth, almost like a worry stone. They won't be shiny just yet, but they should have a nice, soft, matte, or frosted look. This smooth, uniform surface tells you you're ready for week 3. We are now entering week 3, the pre-polish stage. A lot of beginners skip this step, and trust me, that's a huge mistake. The goal here is to create a surface so incredibly smooth that it's finally ready to take a polish. The fine grit we use now, usually a 400 to 600 mesh, will remove tiny scratches left by the medium grit. Think of it like sanding wood. You can't just jump from coarse sandpaper to fine sandpaper and expect good results, right? This pre-polish stage is what makes a mirror-like shine possible. For this step, I'll be using aluminum oxide pre-polish. The process should feel pretty familiar by now, but our attention to detail has to be sharper than ever. As always, start by inspecting your rocks. Be even pickier this time. Any stone with new chips, no matter how small, should be removed. The rocks are smoother now and more easily scratched by any sharper edge. Load your impeccably clean barrel with the rocks and your well-washed ceramic media. Keep that 2/3 full level, adding more media if you need to. Next, add the pre-polished grit. The amount is the same, 2 tablespoons per rock. Sprinkle it over the top and then add your water. Again, you just want to level below the top layer of rocks. Keeping the slurry consistency right is just as crucial now as it was in week 1. Now, we want to double check the barrel and rim and make sure it looks clean. If so, seal it up, put it on the tumbler, and let it go. The pre-polish stage runs for another full 7 days. This gives the grit plenty of time to work over every single rock, refining the surface to near perfection. There are no shortcuts to a great polish. At the end of week 3, we do our usual cleaning ritual, but this time with near surgical precision. The slurry will be very fine and gray. As you rinse the rocks, you might even notice a little hint of a shine to come. When the rocks are wet, they'll probably have a nice soft satiny sheen. That's a great sign. Now for the cleaning. This is your last chance to get rid of every single grit particle before the final polish. Any grain of 400 grit that sneaks into the next stage will act like a tiny shard of glass, leaving a trail of scratches on your beautifully prepared stones. Wash every rock. Wash every piece of media. Scrub the barrel, the lid, and the rim with your toothbrush. And I strongly recommend doing a 1-hour cleaning tumble with borax or soap at this stage. It's a small investment of time that provides a huge insurance against a ruined batch. Take your time. Be meticulous. Your patience right here will be rewarded in the final reveal. Once everything is immaculately clean, you are ready for the most exciting stage. This is the moment we've all been working towards for all those long weeks. Welcome to the final stage, the polish. Everything we've done so far, the shaping, the smoothing, the obsessive cleaning, has all been for this week. The goal now isn't to grind the rocks anymore. The ultra-fine aluminum oxide polish we're using acts differently. It's a burnishing agent. It works its way into the rock surface, smoothing it on a microscopic level until it's so flawless that it reflects like a mirror. This is where the magic really happens. To start, you have to treat your workspace and your equipment like a laboratory clean room. Oh man. Contamination is your worst enemy at this stage. A single speck of any previous grit will ruin the entire batch, leaving your rocks hazy or even scratched. This is why some serious tumblers have a dedicated barrel that they only use for polishing. If you're using a single barrel, it needs to be so clean you'd eat out of it. Scrub the barrel, the inside of the lid, and the rim one more time. Even if you just did it, carefully place your perfectly clean rocks inside the barrel. For this final stage, I highly recommend using plastic pellets as your filler. Even if you used ceramic before, plastic pellets are lighter and they provide gentler cushioning action, which is perfect for protecting those delicate surface of your stones. As always, fill the barrel to about 2/3 or 3/4 mark. Now, add the polish. We're using aluminum oxide, the industry standard for a brilliant shine on hard stones like agate and jasper. The measurement is the same, about 2 tablespoons of polish for every pound of rock. Add your water, following the same rule, just below the top of the stones. Seal the barrel with extreme care, ensuring a perfect, clean seal. Place it on the tumbler for its final run. The polishing stage needs another full 7 days. Let it run for the entire week without interruption. This gives the polish enough time to work its magic, burnishing the surface to a high gloss. At the end of the final week, the anticipation is killing me. I know. Open the barrel, the slurry will be a thin and probably white or light gray. Pour the contents into the strainer and start to rinse. As the water washes away the slurry, you'll finally see the result of a month of your patience and hard work. The deep colors, the intricate bands in the agates, the rich tones of the jasper and the ancient grain of the petrified wood will all be revealed under a brilliant, glass-like shine. The rocks should look just as shiny dry as they do when they're wet. That's the sign of a true, top-quality polish. But we're not quite done yet. There's one last pro-level step that can take your shine from great to absolutely breathtaking. Now, you could stop here, and you'd have a batch of beautifully polished stones. But this is a masterclass, and we're aiming for perfection. This final optional step is called burnishing, and it's the secret to getting that ultimate wet look shine that sets professional grade stones apart. Burnishing does two things. It meticulously cleans off any leftover polish film that might be clinging to the rocks. And it gives the surface one last buffing to take the luster to the next level. After you've thoroughly rinsed your rocks from the polish stage, it's time to get ready for the burnish. The barrel must be, you guessed it, spotlessly clean. Any leftover polish will just get in the way. Put your shiny polished stones back into the clean barrel. You can use your clean plastic pellets, or for an even gentler touch, no media at all if the barrel is at least half full. This time, instead of grit or polish, we're just going to add a simple cleaning agent. Don't use liquid dish soap, as many soaps have oils or detergents that can leave a film. The best thing to use is a small amount of shaved bar soap, specifically a pure, non-abrasive soap like Original Ivory. Just use a vegetable peeler or a grater to shave off small flakes. Add about a half a tablespoon of these soap shavings for each pound of rock. Borax also works great here. You can use about 2 tablespoons for a full barrel. Once the soap or borax is in, add water to the same level as always, just below the top of the rocks. Seal the clean barrel up tight, and this stage is all about final touches. Burnishing doesn't take nearly as long as the earlier steps. Personally, I find that just an hour with soap and water is enough to clean off any remaining grit and give your stones that final, beautiful glossy boost. That said, some tumblers like to go much longer, anywhere between 3 hours to a full 24 hours for maximum shine. My good buddy Will Bond over at Cajun Rockhound often runs his burnish cycle much longer. And let me tell you, the man knows his stuff when it comes to rock tumbling. Once you're satisfied, open the barrel and there it is, the final reveal. You'll see some really sudsy water. Pour the rocks out for the last time and give them a final, thorough rinse in clean water. Lay them out over a soft towel to dry. There's no slurry, just sparkling clean water. As the rocks dry, you will absolutely notice the difference. The shine will be deeper, and the clarity will be more profound. Any hint of a polish haze will be gone, replaced by a hard, brilliant, liquid-like gloss. This, right here, is the reward of a month of patience. Let's just take a moment and look at what we've accomplished. Just beautiful. Here are the rocks as they started. Dull, rough, with their true beauty hidden away. And here they are now. Look at this incredible transformation. The deep reds and yellows of this jasper and petrified wood are so vibrant and alive. This is what's possible when you follow the process, respect the timeline, and really pay attention to the details. Each of these stones is a small testament to the power of patience. And that's it. That's the 5-step, 4-week journey from rough stone to a perfectly polished gem. We've covered everything. The coarse grind for shaping, the medium grind for smoothing, the critical pre-polish stage, the final polish for that glossy, beautiful shine, and the expert burnishing step for that crystal clear finish. It's a process that definitely takes time, but as you've seen, the results are more than worth it. Now, you've got the complete roadmap. You don't just know what to do, you understand the why behind every step. There's nothing stopping you from transforming rough rocks into beautiful, polished stones of your own. If this guide helped you out, be sure to subscribe for more tutorials and rockhounding adventures. You'll find links to all the gear I used, including the tumbler and grits, down in the description. And hey, if you're just getting started or have any questions along the way, drop a comment below. I'd love to help you however I can. I just think Mark's gonna love these, don't you think? Thanks for joining me on this epic adventure. Until next time, my friends, happy tumbling.